Well, it was over 200 years ago when a man in civilian clothes rode past a small group of tired and battle-weary soldiers as they were digging what appeared to be an important defensive position. The leader of the group wasn't making any effort to help. He was just shouting orders and threatening to punish the group if the work wasn't completed within the hour. "Why aren't you helping?" the stranger asked from his horse. "I'm in charge. The men do as I tell them," said the man. And then he added this, "Help yourself if you feel so strongly about it." Well, to the man's surprise, the stranger got off his horse and did help the men until the job was completed. And before the stranger left, he congratulated the men for their work and approached the puzzled man in charge and asked him this: "You should notify top command next time your rank prevents you from supporting your men, and I will provide a more permanent solution. Sound good?" The stranger said. Up close, the now humbled tyrant recognized General George Washington. And that day he learned a lesson he would never forget. I don't know about you, but I love true leaders. I've become, over the last 35 years, a student of the topic of leadership. And I say this humbly, but I say it honestly. I've had the distinct honor of working for and with some of our nation's best leaders. So today we're going to address this topic: life-altering leadership. What is it? And how can I become that kind of leader? So to begin our program today, I want to establish a working definition of leadership because we have to know what we're talking about. So Gary, you've been a leader in churches and communities, in public and in private, for decades. So could you do this for us? Could you give our listening audience today, just kind of in a nutshell, what leadership is?
Washington.
George Washington is it, huh? He embodied it, did he not?
I would like to have been there when he gave that lesson to that fella, what leadership is all about. And, of course, George Washington was a good leader. But, there's a definition that I've used down through the years, Dave, and this could be broken down, and we won't take the time to break it down today. But leadership is the ability to teach, to serve, to exemplify, and to motivate others to accomplish a clearly defined vision. And, of course, I know that we're going to delve into this whole concept of leadership today. And there's a lot in that definition. But that's sort of what I would say that leadership is in a nutshell. The ability to teach, serve, exemplify, and motivate others to accomplish a clearly defined vision.
Gary, I love your definition, and I want to add another one. This is, of course, not original with me, but it comes from leadership guru John Maxwell. And Maxwell said this, quote, "Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less." And, of course, with that, I would agree. One of my best friends and a former pastor used to say this: if you think you're leading but no one is following, you're not actually leading, you're just out for a walk. And that pretty much says it all. One of the best definitions of leadership I've ever read is this, and in fact, it goes all the way back to a freshman speech syllabus from my college days, but it was drilled into me. In fact, we had to memorize this. A leader is an individual whose character, knowledge, and judgment commands respect. Again, I've never forgotten that. So, Gary, the life-altering leader is someone whose character, that is what he or she is, their knowledge, what they know, and their judgment, what they do, is respected. In other words, a life-altering leader must be, know, and do, or they're not really a leader, at least not a leader that's going to forever alter someone's life or maybe perhaps a group or an organization's life. What about that definition, Gary? Someone whose character, knowledge, and judgment commands respect. Would you agree?
Oh, yes, I agree 100%, because if a leader does not have respect, he certainly will not have anybody following him. I think that's a very, very good definition, Dave.
Well, Gary, let me ask you this. Before we go really any further into the subject, we're going to work off of this definition. A leader is someone whose character, knowledge, and judgment not demands respect, but commands respect. Gary, there's a vast difference. And having been a pastor, worked with volunteers as well as paid staff, you know well the difference between someone in a leadership position. And by the way, just because they occupy the position or have the title leader does not necessarily mean they are a leader or necessarily that they are the leader in that particular organization or in that particular setting. But you know well, Gary, there's a difference between demanding respect and commanding respect. I'd love for you, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of help our listeners understand the distinction between demanding something and commanding something.
I think that that's a good distinction, Dave, and I'm glad that you brought that up. You know, if you demand something, that means you go to people and you say, I want this. I demand you to do this. I demand you to respect me, if you want to put it that way. Whereas when one has the type of character and knowledge and judgment that commands respect, it simply means that people want to follow that individual who is a leader. And I have found down through the years, David, that the best leader is not the individual who is demanding that respect, but one who has the type of character, the type of quality, who has the example, who has the attitude of service that people want to follow him. And I know down through the years I have known people, whether they be pastors or whatever the case may be, that when you look at them and the style of leadership that they portray, you just respect them. And it's not them who commands the leadership. I mean, it's not them that commands the respect. It's the quality of leadership that they have that brings the respect from other people toward them.
Gary, I am glad you went the direction you went. A leader that commands respect is somebody that people want to follow versus someone they have to follow. And you've worked in situations both in the secular world as well as in the ministry world where you've had to follow someone because they had the title or they had the position of leader. But then you've been in situations where you wanted to follow someone merely because of the strength of their character, as you said, or their ability, or just the resolve, the firm resolve to Christ or to leading other people in a way that's honoring both to God and to that individual. And you just wanted to follow them. You desired to follow them. As my dad used to say, you'd charge hell with a water pistol with them because you so greatly respected them. Well, friends, I want you to understand everyone is a leader. If leadership's most basic definition is influence, then everyone is a leader. The size of your organization or the number of people in your group is not the issue. If you teach a Sunday school class, you're a leader. If you're a parent, you are most definitely a leader. If you're a little league coach, you're a leader. It's not just the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation or president of the United States that's a leader. If you exert influence over anyone, you are a leader.